Hey, so today I want to talk about why I probably will not be buying any Nike shoes again. I'll go through the sustainability claims and why I do not see that they hold up. And the reason why I started looking this up a bit more is also the lack of durability that I've noticed recently in recent years, over the past 5 years particularly. So compared to 10, 15 years ago, I grew up wearing Nike shoes and I loved them and they used to last me years. And now the last pair of shoes I bought, after the first year of wearing it, it already had signs of wear and tear. It had a hole in it. Of course, I will continue to wear it until it falls to pieces. But that is not what most people will do because you need to look presentable. But for me, because this is what I do, I work in sustainability, I work in circular economy, I need to make sure that I'm using things as long as I possibly can. And I think that is simply no longer possible um, comfortably with Nike shoes. So let's get a bit into sustainability issues and their sustainability claims. So this is Nike's sustainability page. Of course, they're using their get them back in the game kind of, their slogans. Of course, they're so good at that. So recycle your old gear, rethink your old gear, refresh your old gear. So this so the RE that they are trying to promote. They also show how they're reducing their greenhouse gases. And this is interesting, 100% waste diverted from landfill in our extended supply chain. Anyway, so what they're trying to say is that they are making big strides forwards on our journey to zero carbon and zero waste. So they're saying this zero waste thing. I think it's very interesting that they're using this term. And how are they going to do that? By reusing existing plastics, yarns, and textiles, and by inventing entirely new materials. So here's why I don't have, like, the plastic is really an issue. How many times do you think plastic can be recycled? Resources will say twice, three times, tops. You always need new material to be put in when you're recycling plastic. So this means if you understand, if you've learned, or you're interested in circular economy, thinking about the circulation, the materials staying in the cycle. So this is plastic is going to be in this side of the cycle, in the technical cycle, and with the proposals that Nike have with, for example, their material grind and with their reuse a shoe program, which I'll get into in detail. What's happening here is that so if you cannot circulate a material continuously, then really it's not a valid way of moving towards circularity, because what's going to happen is that it might be recycled once or twice and we're going to see that that's not even happening, and then it's going to end up in landfill because it cannot possibly be recycled more. So let's get into the programs that they are doing. So let's see what happens when shoes are actually tracked for these claims. So this is done by Reuters. So Dow said it was recycling our shoes. We found them at an Indonesian flea market. So this is something that's continuously happening. We've heard this also with H&M. Many businesses that are corporations that are saying that they are in fact recycling our clothes and our shoes, they really don't seem to be completing that promise. So they tested that by putting hidden trackers in 11 pairs of donated shoes. And the promise here is that these shoes would have been transformed into playgrounds and running tracks. Now, I'll just put this, I'll, just give a summary here. None of the 11 pairs of footwear donated by Reuters were turned into exercise paths or kids' parks in Singapore, right? So what they're claiming, they're not actually doing. Now, let's go into if they actually, in fact, are making grind, which they do claim to be doing. So other than the really, like, are they providing another possibility of actually recycling this material. So if they've recycled it once into playgrounds, so what happens then? It's going to go to landfill. But during its life cycle, is it actually okay? So during its life cycle, the shredded materials pose a health risk, especially for children because they're the ones that are using it. So this is microplastic that is being inhaled. And there are studies that will show you that this is very unhealthy. So what is the problem here is that they're turning it into materials that will likely not be recycled again and go to landfill. And also, the problem here is that it's going to cause health issues. So let's go back to the topic of durability as well. Durability, if you're familiar again with circular economy, durability is key because this means that this item has been manufactured and I will use it for as long as I possibly can. Now, the whole thing from Nike just doesn't fit with circularity because they're producing 780 million pairs of shoes. And I thought that it was interesting that they put out new products on a bi-weekly basis. To me, that very much is within fast fashion. I think that's very obvious that this is fast fashion. And if the product is not lasting long, it's no longer durable, then this right away conflicts with what a circular economy or how a circular economy works. You need durable, long-lasting products rather than buying many items, whether it's for trend or because they are not durable. There's also the study that is taking a closer look at what Nike's doing, and I just wanted to share this part of what they're talking about. So, however, the positive environmental benefits associated with recycling may be offset by the negative impacts caused by the extensive logistics associated with these programs. So, if you're interested, have a look at this article just to look at how, in fact, this is translating environmentally. I don't agree fully with the whole article, but I do think it's quite interesting. Now that I have mentioned why I will no longer be buying Nike shoes or Nike products unless they change, I will give an example of what I look for. So this is an example of a footwear maker. So why am I suggesting or what am I looking for? Not necessarily them, okay, but whenever I'm looking for something new and I want to look for sustainability efforts, for circularity efforts, this is what I'm looking at. These are the things I'm looking for. So there, hopefully I'm pronouncing their names correctly. For the first thing I will see over here is that they're upcycled, and they truly are upcycled. Versus what Nike is doing with Grind, they're taking something of high quality, which is the shoe, okay, and they are grinding it down. They're decreasing its quality and making it into the playground. So this is downcycling. This is not recycling. This is downcycling. Recycling is turning it into something equal. So plastic technically cannot really be recycled. And then this here, what they're doing is they're taking textile waste that otherwise would have gone to landfill and they are upcycling it into new shoes, higher value. They're taking something of low value that has lost its value and making it something into something new that has higher value. So they give you information about what they're sourcing, where they're making their products. They talk about transportation and proximity. So how they are managing to do that, there's transparency in what they're doing. Their production. So who's making these shoes? Where? So you have information about that. There's transparency in the waste that's created. So they tell you here, yes, we do unfortunately produce waste. Okay, so they're explaining this to you. And they talk about durability, something that's very important. How long will the shoe last? They're talking about limiting chemicals and microplastic release. They're addressing this issue. So this is very important. And they're talking about prioritizing and sourcing natural materials such as cotton and natural rubber. There are issues with natural rubber, right? However, they are addressing what materials they are using, and they do mention that they do have some synthetics in their products, because they have not yet found a more sustainable alternative. So there's transparency in what they're saying. And then they're giving you this here at the end of the life cycle of the product. They're taking you through the life cycle, which is great. They're telling you about recirculating. So we are responsible for putting products into the market. We are also responsible for taking them back. And what they do is recycle them into new products. Our sole manufacturer can take the shoes back and recycle them into new soles. So they're turning them into the same type of material, into the same type of product, which means that this is recycling. They have a take back program, and they encourage you here, which I thought was really great. They encourage you to tell before you send it back, they're telling you, can it be reused? Can it be repaired? So they're not telling you just send it back right away so that we can sell you something new. They're telling you fix it first, repair it, make it last as long as it can last. So these are things that I look for when I'm looking for any type of garment or product, particularly shoes. I think they're doing a fantastic job. Yeah, and I suppose that's what I have to share for today. Thank you for tuning in. Bye bye.